It is 4 p.m.
So I will officially start the meeting since you officially don't have any officers yet. We are broadcasting here from the council chambers via Zoom, and the first order of business is call to order. So do you want to read the names for the attendance?
Sure. We officially call to order this meeting of the Greenwood Fire Department Merit Commission. We'll do a roll call. Mr. Welch?
I'm here.
Mr. Holmes?
Here.
Mr. Tapp?
Here.
Mr. Watkins?
Here.
Mr. Fouts?
Here.
Very good. Everyone is present. The next item on the agenda is introduction of commissioner members, and I thought that since it's the first time that we were all together, that if you would just go around the room for not only our sake, but for the people that are watching on Zoom, and introduce yourself. And if you want to tell a little bit about yourself, that would be appropriate as well. And we'll start over here with Mr. Fouts.
Okay, my name's Don Fouts. I've been a resident of the city of Greenwood since 1967. Spent 20 plus years as a Greenwood firefighter, 15 years as a captain. I've got 2 children. I'm married. My wife is Kathy. I've got 2 children. Barack, who lives at home, 31, and Courtney, who is married, lives in Guam with 4 children. Her husband served in the Air Force. And that's about it.
Thank you. Mr. Watkins?
Good afternoon, I'm Mike Watkins. I currently work for the state of Indiana for the Integrated Public Safety Commission. I used to be the 911 director in Johnson County for 4 years, and I was a dispatcher in the city of Greenwood and Johnson County Sheriff's Office for several years before that. Resident of Greenwood, and we have 3 foster children now.
Mr. Tapp?
Mike Tapp is my name, and I've been on the merit board before. I'm not sure, I cannot remember how many years I've served on this merit board, but I was also an elected official on the Greenwood City Council for 16 years and lived in Greenwood 47 years, got 2 grown sons.
Mr. Holmes?
Thank you, Matt Holmes, resident of Greenwood since 2010. Went to college on the south side of India as well at the University of Indianapolis. Married to my wife Amanda, who's a lifelong Johnson County resident from Franklin. No children, but a couple of dogs that get spoiled like as such. Work at the NCA in our championships group in media coordination statistics, but also an association with the fire department and the fire business. My father-in-law and my brother-in-law both previously worked with the Greenwood Fire Department, and my brother-in-law is in the Indianapolis Fire Department, and my father-in-law is back with the Barbersville Fire Department.
Mr. Welch?
My name is Bill Welch. I'm a retired Indianapolis firefighter. I was on the fire department for 37 years. I have 2 grown children, a son and a daughter. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 grandchildren. Everybody doing well. I've been a resident of Greenwood for 27 years. For a short time there, I went to Florida, didn't like it, and come back. I think it's a privilege to serve on this board and to, in some way, somehow give back to the community.
Very good, thank you. The next item on the agenda is the annual election of officers. So it'll be the first annual election of officers. And for that, how would you like to entertain? Sure.
Under this system, you have to elect a president, a vice president, and a secretary. So amongst you, if you would like to nominate each one of those and then second them and close nominations and vote, that's the usual procedure that we follow. So I will leave that to the pleasure of the commission.
I'd like to nominate Mike Tapp as president.
I second that.
I missed that meeting.
There goes the railroad train.
Mike, you have no say-so in this.
That's very clear.
Are there any other nominations?
Be sure.
Nominations being closed. I'd like to take a vote. If you would like to abstain from that, we'll allow you to vote so that you can not vote for yourself, but that's what you want to do.
I'll accept.
Okay.
Well, Mike, now you get to open up the floor for nominations for
You may now assume.
vice
Presiding
president,
officer.
since you're the president.
I will do so. I'd like to open up the floor for nominations for vice president. And I would nominate Bill Welch as for vice president. Is there a second to my nomination?
I'd like to second that.
Okay. Bill, you don't have a say-so in that.
I was trying to get under the table real quick.
Are there any other nominations? Okay, seeing none, we'll move on. Congratulations, Bill.
Thank you.
Thank you for serving as our vice president. We need a secretary, which is new because we've not had a secretary on our other board when it was a 3-member, correct?
Correct.
Well, what would be the position, Shauna?
Well, the secretary makes sure that records are kept, minutes are kept. You may also hire and have a recording secretary, but that person makes sure that those things are done.
And that would be our desire. I'm speaking for the commission, but we would want you to take our minutes as before. Who would like to serve, get their feet wet and serve as secretary of this commission? I think Mike Watkins would be a very,
I'd like to second that.
yeah. Are you okay with that?
I'll accept.
Okay. There you have it. Thank you. Those nominations are closed and we're good. We have Mike Tapp as president, Bill Welch as vice president, and Mike Watkins as secretary. The next item of business, I assume you want me to do this, Sean?
You are the presiding officer.
You're on hold.
Is a discussion on annual meeting.
So there are some provisions within the rules of procedure stating that you will have an annual meeting. And at that annual meeting is when you will actually do the elections of officers. There are a couple things that we had questions about as far as an annual meeting. There was some discussion about it always occurring in February, and we were wondering if it would be better suited if we did that sometime in January, and that way having a fresh start of the year, and just with other commissions and boards that either we're involved with or city council, we kind of had the third Wednesday, was it?
The third Wednesday in January is the one that's most open at the 4 p.m. if you decide to keep the 4 p.m. meeting time. And you can set your meetings however you like. That's one of the things that you are to do, is to adopt regular meeting schedule or special meetings, however you'd like to do it. There are in the proposed rules that you would just set meetings as needed to transact business. But you would need to have at least one organizational meeting at the beginning of the year, I would think, to elect officers.
Okay, the third Wednesday in January is the 19th of January, 2021. Is that, we don't necessarily, we're talking about the third Wednesday in January, whatever the date.
Annually, that would be your like
Okay.
annual organization. You'd always do that third Wednesday in January to elect your officers for the
Okay.
year.
Okay,
If that's what you would like to do, it's entirely up to you.
are we, as a commission, are you gentlemen okay with the third Wednesday of January as
Yeah,
as an annual meeting?
that seems reasonable.
Okay,
So that's the 19th.
yes.
Of 2022.
2022.
And
And the time, you also said the time, if 4 p.m. works best for you, if you're available to do it earlier, it is whatever works with your schedules.
and unless you fellows want to have an evening meeting, which I'm not excited about. I don't mind having a 4 o'clock.
4's fine.
Yeah, I mean, with that kind of lead time, I can make sure it's
Okay.
blocked out plenty of time ahead of time for.
Work fine.
Okay. Do we need to set our regular meetings? Or do
Well,
we?
that is up to you. If you want to have regular meetings monthly and then cancel them if you don't have business, or in your rules, what we have proposed, if you look at those, if you see in the proposed rules, you usually have them as needed. You will set meetings as needed to transact business.
Yeah, I would prefer as needed, as long as we have plenty of lead time to do so, to schedule. But
And in front of you, you should have a hard copy of proposed rules of procedure.
Yeah.
That will show Articles 1 and 2 and 9 completed, and then reserved sections 3 through 8. By statute, you are supposed to adopt rules governing the commission within 30 days of being selected, and within 90 days of being selected, you should adopt rules that govern the appointment, selection of members, promotions, demotions, discipline, and dismissal. And so we have reserved the sections for those. I recommend that you adopt the rules of procedure you have in front of you now to govern the business of how you transact business, and that you're going to set meetings as needed. And then at a future date, we will, when you are prepared and ready, we will give you proposed rules for those other sections that have been reserved for review. And when you feel like you are ready to adopt those, we will set a date and time, because statute requires a public hearing. We have to put those on file for the public to inspect and give notice of the meeting, whether it be a hearing where people can come and comment about those particular rules. So,
How far in advance does that have to go out?
10 days. We have to give 10 days
10
notice of the hearing. We have to publish that and give notice. And within 90 days of selection, you are to have them adopted. So there's no delay in being able to transact business if you need to promote or hire or conduct business. So if you'd like to take a few minutes to review those.
where does it, I'm trying to follow you, Shauna. Where does it indicate, you're saying that if we wanted to adopt this as is, we do so?
I recommend that you adopt this as it is now, and what
Okay.
we'll do is we'll have an adoption and amendment history, then you can amend it to adopt the rules that have been reserved,
I
those
got it,
sections
okay.
to address the other rules that you have to adopt within the 90-day period.
Okay, I understand.
So basically what you have in front of you is how to conduct the meetings that you're conducting right now.
Yeah.
Nothing to do with any
The
other
others.
rules or procedures.
Okay.
Right. And then just for a note, so everyone's clear, we're close to the 30-day time limit of members being selected. So I think that's important, because within these 30 days, you have to adopt these rules that are in front of you. You have an additional 60 days to adopt and have a public hearing with the other rules procedures that you don't have yet.
When will we get those?
At the conclusion of this meeting,
Okay.
they'll be sent out via email.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approve Articles 1, 2.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
All those in favor, any other discussion? Any questions or comments about the motion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. These have been adopted. Okay. And then the discussion of the proposed Fire Merit Commission rules, we've had that.
You just conducted that.
Clarification, what, I still am a little bit confused. What additional rules will be forthcoming?
Well, you will see, if you look at your rules, there are reserved sections. You will be getting proposed rules and procedure on full-time applicant requirements for hiring, the
Okay.
lieutenant promotion process, that's what those are. We reserve those. Those are ones that you have to consideration. When you're ready to have the hearing, we'll then
Okay,
provide appropriate notice and get that done.
okay. Thank you. The next item of business is when we're gonna have our next meeting.
Well, and you now actually have, if you look in your rules, you have an order of business, that's how the agenda will be done, and this is how business will be conducted. If you look at the Article 2, item E, you will call probably your next meeting when you are ready to transact additional business. When we send those rules of procedure out and you have reviewed them and you're ready.
Okay,
But it has to be completed within,
Yeah, well, you've got 60 days, pretty much. We're almost at that 30th day, so you've got a couple of months to get those adopted, but it would probably be
Roughly the
within,
end of April.
could be within that time frame. And you may be ready to go within 2 or 3 weeks.
Yeah.
If you look at the rules and you are comfortable with them,
then we set a meeting and we meet. and
you
we
set
adopt
that
it.
meeting for that public hearing for us to give 10 days notice and put them on file so the
Okay.
public can review them. And you can conduct that meeting with that hearing and adopt them after you've had comments. Or
Okay.
modify them, whatever you wanna do.
Then can I ask you a favor? Could you or somebody or your designee send us an email, each one of us an email? Just what you just said, so we all know that we're on a time frame here.
Sure.
Like you said, the end of April, we will have to have it.
You have to adopt those rules within 90 days of being selected, and you're almost to the 30th day from the selection point, so you have about 60.
I'd just like to
We
see
will
that,
send out the proposed rules with an email with a cover explaining the process.
I just want to see that documented, so.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Sure.
Therefore, we won't set a meeting date right now. We'll set a meeting date after we receive that information, and you agree? Okay.
Yes.
Well, are there any questions or comments from anybody on the commission? Any commissioners? No? Well, it's my pleasure to have met each and every one of you. I know you. I've met you before.
Yeah.
I've heard of you.
Oh, no.
I know you're not a realtor, but I've heard of you. And I think I've heard of you as well. I did a little research, and by golly, we all know who Bill is. I'm glad you're all here. I appreciate it. Is there anything else we need to cover, Counselor, while we're
No, sir.
all together? Thank you. Then I will adjourn the meeting. Meeting adjourned at 4:18. Okay. Thank you all.